What's up everybody and welcome back to another week of Fallout 4 Mods Weekly. It was a pretty good week for mods and frankly I don't really have anything else to say for my intro, so if you're interested in knowing who won that giveaway, stay to the end of the video, but with that, let's get right into it. Did Fallout 4 fail to satisfy your nostalgia? Were you really hoping that some of the weapons from previous Fallout games would be brought to the Commonwealth, but instead all we got was some weird, convoluted, water-cooled assault rifle? Well, the 10mm revolver will solve that all for you. It adds in, you guessed it, a 10mm revolver from the first two Fallout games, but with all that being said, the weapon is still cool in its own right. It adds in what I feel like is more or less just a cross between the pipe revolver and the 10mm pistol. It's some weird Frankenstein merge of the two, but it works really well and you could definitely tell where the inspiration came from. There aren't really a ton of attachments for the gun, although I think that's intentional because I think they're intended to just help you recreate previous editions of this gun. The pistol also fits into the game really well. You would never know it was added by some random mod on Nexus, considering it looks and feels so much like some of the guns in the game already. With all that being said, there are some issues with this mod that I'd love to see get addressed. The gun uses the same sound and the same name as the regular 10mm pistol. And what I mean by that is, well, the sound is obvious. When you shoot the gun, it sounds exactly the same, which maybe that's intentional, maybe it's not, but the name is exactly the same when it's in your inventory. So you will have two 10mm advanced pistols, even though one of them is the revolver, and there's no way to distinguish it by the name, which is really weird. It should just say 10mm revolver, not 10mm pistol. But with all that being said, the revolver does do basically twice as much damage as the pistol, so there's that. But all those are relatively easy fixes, and at its core, the pistol itself looks really good and fits into the game really well. Are you on your third or fourth playthrough of Fallout 4 and finding that the legendary modifications for certain weapons are getting a little bit stale? Well then, Legendary Overhaul is for you, or really for anyone else that just wants to breathe a little bit of new life into their game. So what the mod does is add in just under 50 legendary effects and modifications to weapons and armors in the game. All of these felt very balanced and fit into the game very well. None of them were super outlandish, although some of them were quite a bit more exciting than some of the default ones. None of them blew me out of the water with like, wow, that's really broken, I want to go get that. It's also important to note that this mod doesn't change anything about the vanilla effects in the game. All this mod does is add in additional effects that you could find in the pool along with the old ones. So obviously I can't show you all of the 50 effects, so I basically chose one armor and one weapon mod that I thought were really cool and wanted to show you. Gambler is an effect you could get on projectile based weapons. Basically what it'll do is one of the rounds in your clip will do 3 times damage. So if you're using a 10mm pistol that has 10 rounds in a clip, one of those 10 is going to do 3 times as much damage as all the other rounds. Now the armor mod that I thought was really cool is called Unstable. Basically what happens is when you would originally die, if you have unstable armor on, you'll explode into a nuclear explosion and live. How many pieces of your armor have this effect determines the cooldown for it, but all around it was a really cool effect, and although it sounds a little overpowered, in practice it wasn't. It didn't kill the enemies around me, and the nuclear explosion, although knocking people back and onto the ground, it was like one fat man going off, and the radius of it was definitely reduced. This is definitely one of those mods for the veteran players or people who've been playing Fallout 4 for a while and just want to change it up a little bit in one way. And for that, it works really well. Do you feel like playing through Fallout 4, despite all the caps you've earned, all the enemies you defeated, you still lack that safe haven you could call home? Well then Cinnamon Island is for you. What it adds in is this really nice island that is untouched by the war that plagues the Commonwealth. You'll get there through a boat off the coast of Castle, but you could also fast travel there after discovering it. The island itself looks very pretty. The grass is green, the trees are blossoming, I don't know if it works that way, but still, and all around it just feels like a very happy and comfortable place to live. You'll never have to worry about some Mirelurks coming and knocking on your door or raiders launching a raid. On the island there's this water tower that pours into like a little lake-ish, poolish effect that does also turn into a waterfall. That looks really nice and it's just a really nice addition to have there, but the main attraction is the house. The house itself is a really well made and also nice place. It is untouched by the war and just feels very homey and comfortable. There's a place to store all your things and basically a room for all your necessities, like a bathroom, a storage room, a bedroom, etc. On top of all that, the island itself is also a settlement. So if this one house wasn't enough for you, you could build a mansion next to it out of some of the building supplies, or if you're a little paranoid, build a wall around your island. Whatever floats your boat. All around, it's a really good and well-made mod. The one complaint I did have is as you look off into the island, you see nothingness. It's because this is a new world space added in, so you can see some ocean in the immediate surrounding, but if you look off into the distance, you just see the walls that border the edge of the map. That's something I'd love to see changed in the future, as it actually made it a little bit unpleasant spending a lot of time there. Were companions just not doing it for you? Did you need something bigger to take down your enemies? Well, I can offer you a personal jet with Stingray Air Support. What this mod adds in is callable airstrikes into the game. Basically, you'll throw down a flare and then choose the airstrike of your choice, and then a jet will fly over you and drop bombs on the location. The currently available airstrikes are the nuke, the MIRV, the EMP, the cryo bomb, and finally the supply drop. They're all pretty self-explanatory, the nuke just being like a fat man, the MIRV being like 4 fat man, the cryo drop freezing enemies around it, and the EMP only really being effective against robots, as it does just basically destroy a bunch of robots, and last but not least, the supply drop gives you some ammo. What this mod really is a new and unique way to take down your foes. It's a ton of fun throwing in an airstrike mid-fight, as that's when I would probably use them, although I do hope your aim is good, because these do hurt you as well. There were a few settings for the jets, like changing their speed and altitude, although I found these to be more gimmicky and didn't actually change the overall gameplay and how you use the airstrikes. I think this mod is really just beautifully done. I'm really excited to see what new airstrikes are added in the future. The one thing I would change is maybe some balancing changes on how you get the airstrikes. Like a nuke should probably require a fat man, and a MIRV should probably require 2 or 3 fat men, etc, etc. With all that being said, it's definitely still a really cool and unique mod, and definitely one I recommend you guys check out. Did you really like the flashlight systems added in by some cool weapon mods out there, but were hate being tied down to only using that weapon to get the flashlight? Tactical flashlights can fix all of that for you. It adds in 6 head-mounted flashlights as armor pieces to the game. Some of these are like visors that you put on your eyes, and other ones are full-out helmets. You can mix and match some of the visors with the helmets, but then again, some of the helmets have built-in lights, so then typically the visors take priority. It's a little confusing, but when you play around with it, you'll probably get the hang of it pretty quickly. From there, you can also change the different colors and brightness of the lights. The colors you're going to change at an armor workbench, but the brightness and basically how far the light shoots is actually an option you get when you install the mod. So you could choose between 50% and all the way to like 700, 800%. For the purposes of this video, I did choose 150%, and that's pretty much it. It's a relatively simple mod, but it does function quite well. It adds in something that I feel like should have been in the vanilla game. The Pip-Boy flashlight is an actual joke, and these ones actually are pretty practical, especially if you use some mods like True Storms or Darker Nights. All of the existing ones look really good, although I would like to see a few more added, because there's definitely a few armor sets out there that totally won't go with these. A lot of them almost look like a little bit of a rugged or raider look, and then some of the other ones are too futuristic for like your typical combat armor. Again, a really good mod, and excited to see what happens to it in the future. This is just a damn cool pistol mod. The Remington 1858 is a throwback to the New Vegas pistol and adds in basically the New Vegas pistol to the game with some Fallout 4 modification. The weapon will spawn naturally in the world on raiders and minutemen and in some vendors. There isn't a ton of modifications for the guns, just your typical grip, sight, barrel, receiver, but I really think that's all kind of fluff. At the end of the day, this mod just really works. The animations are pretty good, the sounds sound amazing, and looking down the scope of this thing while taking down enemies is a ton of fun. This is one of those weapon mods that you definitely want to experience for yourself. There's only so much I could say about it. It's a good looking gun, it sounds really good, and it's really just a refresher from especially those who played Fallout New Vegas, but also for those who want a pistol mod that isn't just an M1911, M9, or some other Colt. So that little intro bit was from my full video on this mod. I actually made 2 full videos on the Submersible power armor, which is going to get the last spot on this list. Even to just preface the armor, I think one could make the argument that is the best power armor mod out right now. But again, what is the Submersible power armor? It is a BioShock inspired power armor. It is not a recreation of the Big Daddy, but rather simply an inspiration. I mean, there's really not even all that much to say about the armor. The textures look phenomenal. It just came out with a update that added a brand new material mod. The model itself is absolutely beautiful and really just embodies everything that is good about power armor mods. But oh man, that freaking headlamp, that is where this thing shines. When you turn the headlamp on, it'll actually come out of all 3 sides like a actual BioShock armor or a deep sea diver helmet or something. It looks freaking cool in combat and I absolutely love that aspect of this. I know the mod author is planning on adding in the Big Daddy drill into the game, so that'll be huge and a really cool addition. He is doing pretty regular updates considering the mod's only 5 days old. There's already been 2 updates, so pretty stoked to see that. This is just one of those mods that you should check out and leave installed for a long time. Something like this should have probably been added by Far Harbor, but instead a mod creator is adding it anyway. So that is it for another episode of Fallout 4 Mods Weekly. A day late on this one because, I don't know, I was having some chest issues yesterday and it just wasn't happening. But what I do want to talk about now is mod bounties and basically who the winner is. So I'm going to be announcing the winner tomorrow. Well, not announcing, but you'll see it in your DM. So check your Twitter DMs. I'll DM one of you tomorrow and we could arrange whatever kind of payment. If you don't know what mod bounties are, basically if you DM me mods on Twitter, you'll be entered into a weekly giveaway. And that giveaway will conclude on the release of this video. Obviously, you can join the giveaway just by DMing me a cool mod, and kind of give me a little line about it. But that's pretty much it. As always, I thank you guys for watching. I do hope you had a good weekend, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.